How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys are probably tired of seeing me every single day, but that's how we roll during the transfer windows. Even the January transfer window was quiet and as crazy as it can get, as you guys are probably ready to discuss. This is United versus everybody. I am your host, Sean, and we are back tonight for some Manchester United transfer talks, some interesting reports coming out today, some wild takes coming out today from all over the place. If you haven't yet seen the thumbnail, I'm not going to waste too much time with intros. We don't want to waste all that time. Well, maybe a little bit of just to laugh at Arsenal for a second. So I don't know if you guys saw they lost 2-0 to Newcastle. They're moving on. They obviously, I think they've got a second leg, as I was reminded earlier. But take nothing from Newcastle. Newcastle were by far the dominant side of the night. But Arsenal, just what has happened to Arsenal? They've kind of fallen off a cliff here. They just look so bad. Their corners were garbage. The delivery was garbage. Trust the process, though, right? Pressure will be on them this weekend for sure, but we're going to talk about that match later on this week. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell so you don't miss anything, because we are going to jump right in tonight, because I don't want to waste time getting into this nonsense. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation about Kobbie. Let me jump in the chat and see what everyone is up to. Rich, big up, my guy. How are you, man? Good stream tonight, man. Caught some of that. Was doing a lot of different things, but I was able to chime in. But yeah, good stream as always. Missed you, man. I think you took a couple of days off there for a little bit. I know we were moving, right? Hopefully all that's going well. But like you're saying, I would be very surprised. But we are going to chat about it anyway, because that is why we are here. Rob is watching a Sir Alex documentary on BBC. Nice. Good deal. Justin, I tried to call you earlier. I was trying to see if you wanted to. If you wanted me to go ahead and try to lock in some of the tickets for the women's Manchester Derby that Sunday, we're going to be there. So we're going to see if we want to go to that one too and make it 5 matches in 4 days. Why not? We literally have to get out of the Brighton match and then jump on a tram over to the Etihad for that game. United TVC, if corners aren't working, Arsenal may as well stop playing. Yeah, and this is the thing, Rich. Like, you can't, it wasn't sustainable, right? It just wasn't. People go on and on about vibes with Ollie that wasn't sustainable, or Ten Hag kind of limping through things and how that wasn't sustainable. You can't win a league on corners alone. You just can't. You're not going to do anything in Europe that way. Clearly, you're not going to do anything in the domestic cups that way. It was the only way they beat us was a couple of corners, and they're just not tactical corners either. It's not like a lot of movement, or it's just let's all crowd the keeper, let's all play wrap up football, and that's it. We'll just get a near post flick on, and it'll go and it'll cause chaos. It's not sustainable, but it is what it is. Oh, Rich, your daughter. Well, happy birthday to your daughter, man. How old is your daughter? Justin in the chat's got himself daughter. Ellie Bug. She's my little bug. Lionheart's good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Arsenal have regressed. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I know we're digressing here a little bit of talking about Arsenal, but it's like I said it before and I'll say it again, like they missed their opportunity. They had the shot. They had their best chance to win the league, and they bottled it. And I think it went and passed them by. They needed to grab it while it was there, and they just couldn't do it. I don't think Arteta is going to do anything with them. So it is what it is. Composed View, welcome back, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Why can't Arsenal blank? I mean, that's the question we all have asking for years. Whatever you want to finish that sentence with, why can't Arsenal blank, is exactly what we're all saying. Luca's pretty funny. Lots of contradictions. What? All right. So, moving on a little bit. Thank you guys for stopping by tonight. We're going to jump into this Kobbie Mainoo craziness. Because if you haven't seen the reports that are coming out today, Chris Wheeler with Daily Mail wrote a piece today on the contract situation between Manchester United and Kobbie Mainoo. Now, we know that Kobbie Mainoo just signed a new contract not all that long ago, right? But Wheeler claims that United have reached a stalemate in new contract talks with Mainoo's representatives. And allegedly, this has alerted Europe's top clubs to the fact that Kobbie Mainoo could be sold this month or the end of the season. This month, I mean, do we really buy that? I'm not buying that. Again, he just signed a new contract last year. I think it runs to like 2027. He is in talks for a new deal. I think that I like the proactive approach. I really just was not happy with the approach under Woodward and Company of like waiting till a year, like exercising in the 1 year and then extending. Like I like the proactive approach with certain players. I'm not going to lie. Wheeler, however, claims that the stalemate is mainly over finances and then the club's financial situation, because apparently Kobbie Mainoo wants $200K a week, which I don't understand where Wheeler's getting that number. It's a pretty random number. It almost, like I said on Rich's channel, part of me feels like it was just some arbitrary, like, hey, Antony's on 200K. I feel like it's almost just setting up tomorrow's headlines. Like, United refused to pay Starboy like what they're paying flop signing or something, or like Ten Hag flop or something. Like, I feel like the speculation and the rumors are going to rumor just to keep perpetuating the headlines that are all just based on nothing. But I don't know where Chris Wheeler's getting that number from. If anybody else has seen any sort of reports on that, you guys let me know. But sounds like, according to Wheeler, United are trying to drive down that wage bill. Obviously, we know we're trying to get some of the big earners off the books. We're trying to get the wage bill to a more sustainable place, because for a long time it's just been out of control. Not only we're signing players initially on crazy wages for no reason, but we just keep extending these contracts from some of these players, and it's getting out of hand. So I understand that part of it, but the budget squeeze seems to be, according to Wheeler anyway, a bit of a stumbling block. So let me jump back in here and see what you guys have to say. Oh, I missed a lot. Box, how are you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Composed view. Why can't Arsenal just get a striker? I think Arteta and Pep had a bet to see if he's good enough to win trophies without a striker. Can't think of any other reason. Not my concern. It's not my concern. I said the exact same thing in the summer. Just like I said about Real Madrid, why didn't they buy any defenders? Why Arsenal needed a number 9? Gabriel Jesus is not a number 9 who's going to win you a league. Kai Havertz isn't even a number 9. I don't get it. Maybe they were just banking on corners until the end of the season, and then they're going to go all out. They really needed to do something, but it is what it is. Box says, there was talk a few weeks ago about Garnacho Mainoo contract problems. There's always going to be talks, right? I know that we're talking about him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Garnacho one I'm not as concerned about, because honestly, if I had to choose to keep one, I'd probably choose to keep Kobbie Mainoo, right? Because I think he fits the system better. I don't think Garnacho really fits the system. And I'm not saying Garnacho's bad or I don't like him. I'm just saying, if I had to choose, right? If I go to a restaurant and I get steak and I don't get a burger, it doesn't mean I hate burgers. It's just I prefer the steak. It is what it is. United TV, just because Antony Sancho deals probably 200 is crazy. Yeah, 200 is a bit crazy because he's only on like 20K a week right now. So I don't see where I don't like 10 times. That's that Antony contract situation I was talking about. Rob, how are you, my friend? Leonard says, like, seriously, who is this Wheeler guy? Is he a respectable source and is he the only one reporting it? So Chris Wheeler writes for the Daily Mail. And so we've spoken about some of his reports on the channel as well. And so he is a Daily Mail journalist who's pretty heavily involved. I want to say he's now you guys are testing me. I want to say he's either like a Chelsea supporter or a City supporter. I don't know off the top of my head. You guys might have to fill me in. But he does write for the Daily Mail. And so he's just he's another journalist in the UK. Like I've said before, though, there's a lot of money being wasted on journalism degrees in the UK these days. So, and we pretty much are exposing all that. Box says Arsenal have wasted a big opportunity the last 3 or 4 years. Like I said, Box, Arsenal missed their chance. Yeah, like Rich says, Daily Mail journalist. He just went off today. I don't know what Chris Wheeler was on for breakfast. Maybe happy hour started a little early in the UK, but Chris Wheeler was on one today, wasn't he? On the Kobbie Mainoo news, I think Ineos are putting these news out there to lower expectations of high transfer fees from United, and also attempts to drive down the wage bill, like you mentioned. I mean, I don't know. I know there's always, it's so odd to me, and I'm not saying you're wrong or anything, because we really don't know, right? We're just here to talk about it. But like, it's always interesting to me the cognitive dissonance sometimes and the implicit bias that you see with some of these stories. So I know it's easy sometimes to think, the owners are putting out PR or Rashford's putting out PR and this, that, just because it's a story that happens to, not like make them look bad. I don't know. It could be. I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of shady stuff going on. I mean, we had Neil Custis under basically as our go-to guy for a few years, right? So that is what it is. But we are trying to drive down the wage bill. We know that Sir Jim was not happy about the Casemiro signing in general. Not that he doesn't rate Casemiro, but that signing was just not a good signing for any way you want to slice it, honestly. Box says, I can see 3 of the top 5 wage earners being gone by the summer. Casemiro, Rashford, Antony. Yeah, I think the biggest wage earners we're going to have at that point are going to be Bruno. Who else? I don't even know off the top of my head who else is what they're all on. I haven't looked at it in a while. The players signed recently are on more sensible contracts. Most high earners being moved on. Yeah, I think what we're trying to do and what we really should have been doing for a while is we got to try to keep players hungry. We got to try to keep them fighting for something. You don't want to give them, it's like the Sancho situation. You don't want to sign them and then give them like $350K a week when they're that young, when they're fresh, like first signing them. Like I could see if Sancho was 25, 26 when we signed him and he had already gotten to like a couple Champions League finals or he's winning like this and that, like, but he wasn't. He was putting up numbers, yeah, but where is there to go when you're Sancho on those wages and United in that contract situation when it comes time for him to get a new contract? He's either like going to run it down and leave for free or you have to pay him more than the $350K a week he was on. It was just bad business. But the problem is, again, this is why we're in the situation that we're in as far as finances go. And this is the kind of situation that Ineos have to clean up because the most important decisions at this club, like the Sancho situation, the Antony situation, were made by the most incompetent people that we've ever had at this club. That's why we are where we are. Lionheart says, right, the Daily Mail, so he couldn't make it at the big time. Proper wheeler dealer. I like that. United TV says, I used to work with someone whose friend wrote for them. It was in the entertainment section, but 99% made up. Nice. That's awesome. Box says, compose you think Bruno will stay in the short midterm 18 months. Yeah, Bruno's contract is a little interesting situation, right? Rob Tav, Mainoo only on 20K, 5 new players coming on 5 times his wage. If I was at work, I'd be pissed right now. If 5 people came in on 5 times as much, we all would. Euro is his age. Yeah, the Euro situation is interesting, right? It's different though. Like if it was my first year, like straight out of like an internship at a company and I was on a certain salary, and then the company hired people who were more experienced and like had more to offer, maybe more whatever, I couldn't complain about them being paid more, right? But like the Euro situation, yeah, that's probably very similar. But Mainoo was on that. We're gonna work on getting a new one on. It's probably going to be close to around Lenny Euro if we do get something agreed. I can't imagine it's going to be 200K a week. That's insane. Boxes. If you give Mainoo 200K at 19, imagine at 23 he wants 326. Exactly, and that's like I was saying about the Jadon Sancho situation. RSV, welcome back, my friend. Sancho isn't really doing anything special at Chelsea. His numbers ain't different from his time at United. Yeah, and that's the thing. People want to go on and on about what Sancho is doing at like Chelsea. Every time he gets an assist or make like nutmeg somebody, that everybody freaks out. And that's fine. He could do it at Chelsea. He wasn't doing it at United under 3 different managers. So it is what it is. United TV says, imagine how they feel about Antony. Yeah, you're talking about Ineos. Yeah, they can't be happy about that, especially since he's not playing. It's one thing to have a player like that on there, but then it's another thing, the fact that he's not even playing anymore. Like, it's just ridiculous. Composed View says, I think these players should be on nothing more than 100K added with performance bonuses. Look at Liverpool players' wages. It's astounding. Yeah, I mean, it's always hard. I think that the money makes it really difficult. Honestly, I mean, it's not like the players are poor, right? 20K a week at 19. I mean, can you imagine what anybody else was making when they were working at 19 years old? I mean, that's a lot. But so I don't have too much empathy there. But Lionheart says, I just saw in the BBC gossip section that the Manchester Evening News has picked up the story, and I've said, the MEN. That's where Samuel Butters earns his living, right? Rob Taff, they haven't sorted Ahmad's contract, and that's running down. How much is he on? Ahmad is on 28K a week, Rob. And so they're currently working on that as well. So we've got Mainoo on 20, Ahmad on 28K a week. If we just let, so both of them, they're both being paid less than like Altay Bayindir and Tom Heaton. Tom Heaton and Bayindir both get paid more. I think they're both like in the mid 30s, high 30s. So even if you just let like Eriksson or Lindelof or whoever like leave this month, even if you don't get money, you just get rid of the wages. If you just let them go for free and mutually terminate the contract, or however that kind of situation works, you could sort both Kobbie and Ahmad's contracts out and still have some to throw around as well for like a new signing in terms of wages. RSV initial hype from YouTube Ascension Seekers. Are you calling me a YouTube Ascension Seeker? Box says you can vote. Salah was on like 200K until it was 28, 29. Yeah. I mean, Spurs were doing it as well. Spurs were trying to manage their wages. And again, I mean, the bonuses are in there as well. And then if you're a club like City, obviously there's some brown envelopes being slipped under some doors and whatnot. But RSV, apparently those enormous wages like Antony being on 200K a week is only if United are in the UCL. Otherwise, it's way lower. I'm sure it probably drops without it. But if you look at like Capology or something, so we're not in the UCL, and Antony is on 100. Come on, so like, I'll look at Antony wages. We'll go to Capology. So he earns 200,000 gross per week, no bonuses. So I don't see any bonuses in Antony's contract when I'm looking at Capology at the moment. Interesting. United TV says, what year, though? Salaries are always going up. I wish. Yeah, we didn't have the smartest people handing those out. RSV says, when are you planning on flying to Manchester again? I'm flying to Manchester next week. Next Wednesday, I'm leaving. I'll be back the following Monday. So flying out evening. Get there Thursday, like 10-ish local time in the morning, and then kick off against Southampton at 8 o'clock local time. So it's going to be cold. Going to be fun. Box says, Ahmad, Højlund, Euro, Xerxes, Mainoo, Garnacho being on 90 to 100K sounds fair. Yeah, it does sound fair for that age, and you want to keep them hungry. This is also why I like to start looking at players who are on, their first, second contract, kind of like Ugarte, so we can keep them hungry, keep them working. That way, when they do perform and you do decide you want to extend, you don't have to go too much higher. I mean, we can go from what Ugarte is on now to a 200K a week or something. Rob says, Sean Mount sitting there saying, it's tough, kids. Crying with using like $100 bills as to wipe the tears, right? Like Zombieland, remember that movie? Bach says, I need a more politically correct insult. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but you're all good. So Chris Wheeler also adds to this that, and again, I don't know how he's going to know this, but he says the players also believe, so Kobbie also apparently is concerned over the direction the club and his chances of playing in Champions League football, with Manchester United currently in 13th in the Premier League. So right there, this kind of where Wheeler starts losing me. This is where it kind of comes from these, they're direct claims, they're hitting a stall, but then it's just like this wild speculation. Like the player is also believed to be concerned. Like this is where Wheeler loses me. I just don't get it. He says United hope that a compromise can still be reached. They can still keep hold of their homegrown star. Wheeler believes the club would rather sell Garnacho than sell Mainoo. I mean, it is what it is. I can see the club trying to drive down the wage bill, right? 375K a week is ridiculous, but you're not going to be able to keep everyone happy, especially, and you're not going to be able to attract good players if you're trying to max out these wages at like 100, 150K a week. If the club was trying to go get someone like an Osimhen, for instance, if that's legit who we're looking at, you're not going to be able to do that for 150K a week. You could do that with someone like Gyökeres, which is why I'm like, if you want a striker, if we need a top striker and you want Gyökeres, wait till the summer. He's only on like 40K a week at Sporting. You wouldn't have to break the bank on that one at all. But it is what it is. Plus, in terms of Kobbie, like, why would the club want to? It doesn't make sense even moving forward to sell him. Unless you legitimately thought Kobbie Mainoo doesn't fit your system at all, it doesn't make sense, even from a financial standpoint, if you want to come at it from that angle, because you don't want to pay him the wages. Cool. You could maybe get 50, 60, 65 million for him at this age, being English, especially if you sell him to a Premier League club or something, but you're going to have to replace him, and the replacement's going to cost what you're going to get for him. And then a replacement that is going to be adequate enough is going to be, you're going to have to pay that player as much as you were not willing to pay Kobbie. It just doesn't make sense to me, even from a financial standpoint. His current contract runs for another couple of years, like we said. So it is what it is. get it figured out, give him the number 18 shirt, and let him go on, man. Box says, Antony knows he won't get that 200K ever again unless he joins the Saudi. Well, even the Saudi league don't want him. So, Lionart, so remember when Keane signed his big contract, 50K a week, and now the kids won't get out of bed for that. Yeah, the kid, I mean, I can't imagine, man. I'm glad that we're, like, on one hand, I'm glad, I'm not saying I believe it, but in general, the way we're going about things, I think I'm glad that we're kind of trying to stamp out some of that. But at the same time, the line you have to navigate when it comes to that kind of stuff, recruitment and wages and signing things and all that stuff, isn't a straight line. It's going to be like this, and it's all going to be dependent on the player and priorities and whatnot. You might have to spend a little bit more on this player, or pay player A a little bit more than player B, and that's just going to have to be it. It is what it is. Box says wishy-washy, vague articles. Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, we're here to chat about it. That's why we call it silly season. But I mean, you guys could let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate the legitimacy of Chris Wheeler's report here? 10 being like, oh, for sure this is happening. 1 being like, I wouldn't even wipe my ass with that article if I was shitting bricks. Box 40K. Wow, he got the most goals in 2024. Yeah, he's not on much money at all. And I'm sure that Sporting will probably try to lock him down to a new contract at some point to maybe just protect their investment. But I don't think we're going to be doing any business for Gyökeres in January. I think we have that, like, an Amorim kind of has that gentleman's agreement. But I would hope that we're doing some due diligence now to try to lock that down in the summer if possible. United TV says, Eriksson cast probably moving on. We need more CMs. We do need more CMs. We can't get by without replacements. I mean, if Eriksson doesn't really look like he can hang, at least he and Casemiro can't hang together in that midfield. I think as a one-off in some matches they could probably do it, and we can't rely on Mainoo week in, week out. He's 19. He can't do it. Just like we can't rely on Højlund week in, week out. He's a young striker. We can't rely on Garnacho. Garnacho got played way too much. Didn't really have a whole lot of competition. We need older players that these players can rotate with, can learn from even, and can challenge these players. And I want to see Mainoo, like, before we start talking about 200K a week, I want to see Mainoo more in this system. I want to see how he fits in that pivot, because that pivot's going to demand a little bit more from him. He's been great the last 2 matches. He came on against Newcastle, did really well. He played really well the other day against Liverpool. I don't see a problem with that. But I want to see more of that. I want to show that you deserve the next contract. Let's show that you can do this, show that you're willing to learn, show that you're willing to challenge yourself. And if we bring in a rotation, are you not going to pull a Martial and throw your toys out of the pram because your shirt number got stolen, or because we bought another number 9? That is the kind of mentality that's going to show me that, all right, you deserve to be paid a little bit more. Let's reward that mentality. Let's reward that hard work, that dedication, that determination. If we sign a midfielder and Mainoo is still stalling or is throwing toys out of the pram or something, then that tells you everything you need to know, in my opinion. But we'll see. And sorry, I just went off the screen there, Rich. Also, Amorim hasn't seen much, and Mainoo might improve over the season. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole new system, a whole new way of reading the game, of playing the game, of thinking about the game. And I think that's what we want to see. So, but if we're still talking about contracts and stuff, then maybe that means that Amorim has seen enough to say, yeah, we can do something with this kid. Because otherwise, I don't feel like we would be pushing hard for and embroiled in contract talks at all if Amorim, if he wasn't part of the system, or if there wasn't a reason to think that he wants to stick around, right? So Lionart says, surely there's only one team Gyökeres wants to play for. We have that locked down. I hope we have that locked down. I think Gyökeres could come in and do a great job. I think he knows Amorim. Obviously, he fits the system. Obviously, he's a great striker. I wanted us to sign him when he was at Coventry. He was one of my earliest scout reports way back when he and Chuba Akpom were kind of going head-to-head for the Golden Boot in the championship a couple of years ago. Obviously, Chuba Akpom went to Ajax, and Gyökeres went to Sporting. I was surprised that Spurs didn't go for Gyökeres. That was the same year they lost Harry Kane. So Rob Taff says, need backup players, should get Ethan Ampadu cheap and can do a CDM and a CB. Interesting. You're talking about January? You're talking about in the summer? There's a lot of players that are going to be free in the summer, but there's a lot of deals I think can be done right now. It's just a matter of, how we not locked like Svernipan deal up yet is beyond me. That was a tap in, that was a free hit, that was cheap. He wants to play. He plays in a position that we need. It ticks every single box. He's young. He's going to be on a low wages, fresh contract. It's a no brainer for me. Boxes. Just checking out some of the wages in Europe's top clubs. Lookman 44K, Ederson 49K, Frimpong 75, Verts, Marmouche. I like Marmouche. I think I like Mohamed Amora at Wolfsburg as well too. His similar position. But sticking with Mainoo. So we're not done yet. So David Ornstein has kind of chimed in today, so a little bit more credible. He claims United will reluctantly consider selling homegrown talents like Mainoo, like Garnacho, to help comply with the FFP PSR stuff, but they're not actively looking to trade either player, but they're not considered untouchable right now if a good offer arrives. And that's coming from David Ornstein, who is a little bit more credible, right? He says the reality of the club situation right now financially means the possibility cannot be discounted if those suitable offers arrive. Again, these are just rumors, these are just reports, but try not to get all up in our feelings about it, right? But that being said, I mean, I get it if a big offer, if a club comes in with a blow you out of the water offer for someone like that, especially if it's an academy product, you have to take a moment to consider it. It would just be foolish not to at least consider it. Sir Alex used to say the same thing. Sir Alex used to say, if a club offers you way for a play, like a value, like way over value for one of your players, it's dumb not to consider it. That's just bad business not to do that. Lionheart says Yoro Maguire, DeLitt back three, stick Martinez in the CDM. I believe he initially was a CDM. So Frankie de Jong was a center back initially at Ajax, and he got moved up to a defensive midfielder. I would never want Frankie de Jong to play center back again. I think that the reason that a player probably moves to a different position is probably because they're better suited to that position. I don't have a problem with Licha in the back three. I think that of all the center backs we have at the club, the way that Amorim likes his center backs to play, especially the wider position center back, Licha ticks all those boxes. Now, the problem with Licha is just when he's in a bad run of form. And that's could be said about any player, really. Holland wasn't scoring for a little bit. If Odegaard's not having a good game, if Bruno is not having a good game, we don't tend to have a good game. It's going to happen now and then. I need to see a little bit more consistency from Licha. We saw that in the last couple matches. He's had a good match against Liverpool, I think. Nobody can argue with that. But I do think he is one of our better center backs. Now, that being said, we do need help at center back, and I think Licha could do a little bit of competition as well. We talked about Bushali at PSV, going to be free in the summer. That's a good option. So there are options out there. Box says, I think FFP, PSR, most teams would be open to do the same. Yeah. Rob says, Saudi might as well go for Mainoo and leave us with Casemiro. We seem to be the only team who doesn't get good money from the Saudi league. I did Tellus and Eric Bailly go there, and we got like nothing for him. Mainoo to Saudi, 150 million. Jeez. Mainoo, yeah. Mainoo could go to Saudi, spend a couple years, and make bank, and then still just come back to the Premier League or something and probably do just fine. Linearts, I 100% agree. Just talking as an emergency choice. I mean, in an emergency, maybe, but I don't know if Amorim would go for that necessarily. I don't know if he's quite mobile enough to play in a double pivot, if that makes sense. Because if he's playing there, that either means that Ugarte's injured or like Mainoo's injured, and we don't have anybody else. And in which case, I don't know. I think he's very good on the ball. I think he's very good. He's very press resistant. I will say that, but I don't know if he's got the mobility to get that far forward. Although he did score that goal against Liverpool, so whoever knows. But yeah, emergency choice options. So Box says, I think Neymar gets 1.9 million a week and he's played 5 times. Ugh, Neymar. If there's ever a lesson in what not to do, I mean, Neymar's got to be one of the most just, I don't know. I can't talk a lot about Neymar. I honestly forgot all about Neymar. I think that when he left Barcelona, I think that was probably one of the worst things he could have done, but it is what it is. Lionheart says he's got a great pass. Yeah, and that's why I say Licha, he's very, very good on the ball. And again, that's why I think he fits Amorim's system almost to a T. He's good on the ball, again, press resistant, good pass. I think I like that a lot. He can read the game pretty well. Neymar is Neymar. That's probably the best way to put it, Lionhearts. Neymar is Neymar. Composed View says, Leach played CDM for some games at Ajax. He's not a CDM, yeah. I mean, he's played it like left back now and then. He's a center back. I know a lot of people look, and it was weird. Like, I remember when there were a lot of people saying like Victor Lindelof started his career as a center, a defensive midfielder. Maybe we could play him there if we need to. And some people were like, "Oh, Wan-Bissaka is good at tackling. Let's put him in center defensive midfielder." Wan-Bissaka started as a winger and then got moved to a right back. I mean, Valencia was a winger, got moved to our right back. Ashley Young, winger, started playing fullback. Like, it is what it is. We're up to have Saudi can have Mainoo on condition that they take Shaw, Mount, and they will pay them to take those three. Composed View, just like he can play at left back in some games, Leach is immobile and agile enough. Masraoui at 10. Only if Ten Hag were still here, right? Van der Sar started as a striker. So, yeah. So, Scholesy started as a striker when he was a kid, too. I mean, it's interesting, you know. And then over time, you know, as you play a little bit more, as you develop, as you work with different coaches and stuff, and they see your skills working better in a different position, that's just what happens sometimes. But let's move on to some Marcus Rashford news, because there's more and more potential suitors being mentioned as each day passes. So this is coming again from David Ornstein. So remember, David Ornstein yesterday dropped that Kolo Muani Bamba. But he claims that Borussia Dortmund are now included in the teams along with Juventus, AC Milan, Napoli, teams that could be considering making a bid to sign Marcus Rashford on loan. And he mentions that there are some Premier League clubs weighing up a deal for the summer as well. Fabrizio Romano chimed in and said that Galatasaray are also interested and have approached Marcus Rashford this week. But apparently Rashford is prioritizing options in some of the top 5 leagues in Europe, maybe in a bid to keep that England spot. So that's AC Milan, Napoli, Juventus, Dortmund, Galatasaray. With PSG have known to be interested in Marcus Rashford in the past. So all these teams, you know, could be coming in. But it's AC Milan who could be ahead of the queue. Laurie Whitwell reported, actually just a little bit before I went live, that Rashford's camp, so his agent, who I think is his brother, Dwayne, they have arrived in Italy tonight. This is just being reported like an hour ago. So talks with AC Milan will take place tomorrow and will focus on conditions of a loan. It is the early stages. Rashford's people will also be talking to Dortmund again over the next few days. So it sounds like Rashford's gone. It sounds like if Laurie Whitwell is a pretty good source as well. It sounds like, you know, Rashford's entourage is out there and his agent are out there. They're meeting with clubs. They're trying to figure out the best deal. Sounds like that's trying to happen this month. Gianluca Di Marzio also chimed in. He claims that AC Milan are offering a loan with an option to buy, and they want Rashford this month. I didn't think Rafael Leao's injury was that bad that they needed a left winger. So this was a couple days ago, a flexor injury at the end of December. He missed Friday's semifinal, but yeah, I didn't watch the match yesterday. Did Leao play yesterday against Inter? I completely forgot that match was on. I made plans to watch it, and then I just got distracted. But is Leao fit? Box says, I'd avoid Dortmund. They probably offered 10 mil in the summer. Dortmund owe us. Dortmund owe us a lot. Composed View. I said that the other day. Which England spot? Was that tongue in cheek? Yeah, exactly. I said that the other day. He hasn't really played. I remember, like, it started to go a little bit downhill in that in that summer international break when that summer there was that season at United where he needed surgery and they put that off to go to England duty and didn't play, and then we ended up missing him for the first part of the season anyway. But like, he doesn't really play for England anymore, so it doesn't really mean a whole lot. United TV, good night, Rich. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Good to see you. Happy belated birthday to your daughter. Did Leao play in the final? Yeah, I didn't watch the final yesterday. So I think I was live when someone mentioned that the final was going on. But good night, Rich. Good to see you, friend. Lionheart says, so if he's going out on loan, imagine there will be a loan fee, so that will be profit. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to chat about a little bit when it comes to the Rashford thing. And Rob says it only works if a club pays a majority of Rashford's wages. So I'm still trying to figure out my preferred option when it comes to selling Marcus Rashford. So I listed a couple options here, and you guys can chip in if you have any other options as well. So option one, sell him now in January because we just want to get him out of here. And that gets his wages off the books. But considering he hasn't played, considering there's a bit of a want away situation going on that he's pushing for the move, if you get, you get the wages off the books, which does help, but you're also, the fee is probably the lowest it's ever going to be right now if you sell Rashford, which again, it's all profit, but it's the lowest it's ever going to be if you sell him right now. Loan him with an option or an obligation to buy, and we're still going to have to pay some of the wages, and maybe the final fee could still be lower depending on, the club because the Sancho fee was like, let's say we loan him and it's another 25 million buy option like it was for Sancho. I mean, I want more than that. Let's say you loan him without an obligation or an option to buy. We're still paying part of his wages. And then we're right back in this situation this summer, trying to figure out what to do with him. Loan him out without an obligation. And let's say he does very, very well wherever he is on loan, a la Mason Greenwood at Getafe. And we're still paying part of the wages. But if he goes out on a loan, maybe with an option or not even an option or obligation, and he does well, what that means is we could get a bigger fee for him in the summer when it's time to go. Maybe he puts himself in the shop window, gets out of Manchester for a little bit, goes and performs in the second half of the season like Sancho did at Dortmund last year. Maybe we get a higher fee for him. Box says, loan with an obligation to buy of a fee around 40 million. I have no problem with an obligation as long as it's a high obligation. I just worry that if the final fee is based on what's going on right now, I worry that means the fee is going to be lower than I think it could be. Part of me wonders if it's worth maybe not pushing for the obligation, but maybe making sure he plays and making sure he's going to a club where he's not only going to play, but he's going to maybe do better. So maybe we can push up that fee in the summer. No one will pay 40 million. Someone's got to pay 40 million. If guys like Emile Smith-Rowe and whatnot are going for crazy fees, then there's no way that Marcus Rashford's not going to go for a crazy fee. He's very highly rated in a lot of other leagues. Clearly, Italy, they love him over there. Milan sounds like it could be fun for him, similar to Paris, similar to LA, maybe LAFC. But it's interesting. There's not like a perfect situation, right? There's not like this is the best option. It's just these are the options, and now it's up to Rashford, up to us, and up to whatever potential suitors to figure out the best combination that suits all parties. Leonard says, I'm sure you could get a game at Reading. Maybe, or they'd be like Tranmere Trent and say, no thanks, we don't need him. That had me dying when Tranmere were trolling Trent on the weekend. You tell me you guys saw that. That had me dying, rolling on the floor laughing. So you guys let me know what you think about Rashford. We got a few more odds and ends here. So Olympiacos have apparently asked for a loan deal for Antony. This is coming from Sky in Germany. They report that the deal is not fully off. It's complicated, but it's still being worked on. And that the club are open to Antony leaving this window if we get a good offer. Olympiacos, not a small club. Obviously, they're pretty big as far as historically go, but obviously not a whole lot of people watch the Greek league these days, but could be a good fit for Antony. We'll see if that one goes off. Charlie Savage, oh geez. And then Robbie's going to have to backtrack on anything he said about Rashford, right? We did get a little update today as well regarding Kolo Muani. So this is coming from Florian Plettenberg. So according to Florian Plettenberg, also known as Plettigol on Twitter, Luis Enrique, so PSG manager Luis Enrique, has given Randall Kolo Muani permission to leave PSG this month. However, Plettigol says PSG continue to insist that this must be a loan with an obligation to buy. And so sounds like Luis Enrique, Kolo Muani's not in his plan to sound like PSG are ready to get him off the books, but they do want a loan with an obligation to buy. Basically what we did with Jadon Sancho. So Plettigol says Spurs are still pushing for him. United, Aston Villa, Juventus are all involved. Chelsea reportedly still interested. We talked about it yesterday. I'm not super thrilled about the prospect of Kolo Muani. I'm not necessarily one of these people who wants, like, it smells of Wout Weghorst to me when it comes to a loan with Kolo Muani. The only difference is there's an obligation, it sounds like, if PSG are going to get their way. And I don't want to be obligated to a 26-year-old attacker who has 2 goals in 14 games this season. I'm not about that life. I don't think that is an upgrade. I don't think that moves the needle. I don't think that solves any scoring problems for us, any goal droughts for us. I really don't. So we can do better. What that looks like is anyone's guess. Again, I don't want us to waste money on stopgaps. I'd rather, if we have a first choice, like let's say Victor Gyökeres is our first choice and we can't get him in January, fine. Figure it out. We'll get him in the summer. And if that's the priority, then go get him. Lionheart says Wrexham likes the old superstar now and then. Yeah, he probably gets some of that FX money, similar to how Messi's getting some of that Apple TV money. Maybe that could work out. That would be hilarious. Rashford in a Wrexham jersey he could probably buy that stadium just 10 times over with a month's wages. Box at Chelsea, who aren't they interested in? Yeah. I think Kolo Muani's a little old for Chelsea. They're on Leo DiCaprio settings, right? So I'm just not a fan of Kolo Muani myself. Like I said yesterday, I don't think he's better than Osimhen. I don't think he's better than Gyökeres. I just don't. But maybe I'm just picky because I also said yesterday I don't really rate Dusan Vlahovic because I just don't. I don't think Vlahovic is that good. He's not bad. I just don't think he's that good personally. Same with Kolo Muani. Kolo Muani had one good season at Frankfurt, just like Andrea Bellotti had one good season a long time ago, and then since then hasn't really done much. So you're going to have that now and then. Luka Jovic, same exact thing. How much did Real Madrid play for Luka Jovic, and what has he done since? Maybe I move a little slow. Maybe I'm just pessimistic. I don't know. I don't like one good season and then just blow the transfer market out of the water trying to find a player. I just don't agree with that. And so, yeah, you run the risk when you do that. Maybe they're going to have another season and they'll cost more. Maybe another club will come in and swoop and take them. That's the risk you take. But I'd rather not risk it and wait and see. But it depends on the cost. I don't want to risk that for a 26-year-old. That to me is just that's not smart business. So, but that's just me. I don't run a club, so it is what it is. But not a ton of transfer news, but obviously some big rumors tonight as far as Kobbie Mainoo, some Rashford stuff. I'm sure tomorrow we're going to see more Rashford stuff. If his brother, who is his agent, is also shopping around Dortmund, AC Milan, I'm sure that the rumors will keep rumoring as the week goes on. I will do my best to be here. I've got some PFA class stuff this week as well, so I'm going to be busy with that. Friday's going to be pretty busy as well, but we will be back to keep up with the news as the big stories come out. Obviously, we'll be back ahead of the FA Cup match this weekend to preview that one and get you guys' thoughts and predictions on that as well. So keep an eye out for that. Composed View says, if I were Rashford, I'd go to the Bundesliga. This defending isn't like the Serie A, so he'd have space to run. La Liga will expose his skill set. Yeah, the Bundesliga is pretty open. They are pretty transition-based. He could do very well at a team like RB Leipzig. They are all about pace. Dortmund have a lot of pacey attackers. Is Adeyemi still at Dortmund? I thought that maybe he moved. I don't remember now. I think Dortmund are open to letting go of Daniel Mellon as well this month. So, but they do have a lot of fast attackers at Dortmund. RB Leipzig do play a big transition game. Obviously, Lois Openda, very, very, very fast attackers. But like Rashford, Lois Openda spends most of the 90 minutes offside. So maybe that could suit Rashford. Sounds like an RB Leipzig player already. But I think Box wraps it up perfectly. Hopefully Rashford saga gets wrapped up ASAP. Yeah, I hope it does too. I don't think it looks good for anybody. The Henry Winter interview really kind of threw a spanner in the works as far as our negotiating position. I don't think it helps that now it's all out there. And it's just ironic to me that in that interview, Rashford basically was like, I don't want to make the situation worse. Well, doing the interview without the club's permission is exactly what makes a situation like that worse. So it's just, I'm starting to lose more and more sympathy for Rashford with each of these behavioral issues that I've seen him do over the last couple of years. So I'm not going to go in and get personal or get like negative or hateful or anything or targeting him. I'm just going to say, you know what? It's time to go. It is what it is. Rob, great show. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Box says Daniel Mellon going to Villa. Interesting. That could be good. They do play a fast game at Villa as well. Dortmund makes sense. I mean, it could. We will see. it's the wages. We're going to get stuck paying a lot of wages, just like we did with Sancho. Composer says, yeah, thanks, Sean, for the show. Happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you. My wife is up at our cottage right now with a foster dog. So she was here last night with this foster dog, but it's much better for the dog to go have a whole place to himself than just a room. So it's just me and my dogs here tonight. So we'll be here for a couple days. Malin is a sect acquisition. I'd exchange it for Rashford. I wanted Daniel Malin. I was open to that deal in the summer. Hopefully, like if the Sancho Dortmund situation would have worked out for him to just go back permanently, I would have been open to a Daniel Malin. But JJ, welcome to the channel. Belfast baby needs to go. Yeah, I think we're all about ready for that. The wages make it difficult. Again, if there was ever kind of like Bruno, if there was ever a point in time where we were going to be thinking about moving Rashford on or anything, that contract really put us in a bad position. But again, that's where we are. But that's going to do it for me. Please like the video if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Hit the like button. Laugh a little bit at Arsenal before you go to bed. It does help you sleep better. I can tell you from experience. Got a big match against them this weekend, so keep an eye out for that preview for the FA Cup match against Arsenal. It's going to be a big clash. We're going to have a fun video. And then, of course, if we get any more transfer news throughout the week, I will be here to get your thoughts on that. I can't guarantee you it's always going to be the same time every night because, like I said, my schedule is all over the place this week. But until then, thank you, everyone, for stopping by tonight. I will see you guys on the next one. Enjoy your evening. I will talk to you later. Bye.